Hey peeps, missed you guys. I got my knee surgery. Everything went good. My leg freaking hurts. I'm kind of regretting it at this point. My leg hurts so bad, but that too shall pass. So, um, I don't know when I'll be back soon. Sometime this week, hopefully. Um, You will probably have e-learning on Monday, I'm assuming. So this is probably coming to you from Tuesday. But if not, maybe it's Monday. I don't really know. Okay, so we're going to do Pythagorean theorem day 2. It is kind of like what we did the other day. Okay, and I say kind of gracefully because you're still going to be doing the a squared plus b squared equals c squared, but it's a little bit different of a process. Okay, and so we know that our Pythagorean theorem formula tells us, and I'm writing with my finger, so bear with me, but tells us a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Okay, and that's our formula. And a and b are the legs, okay, and c is the hypotenuse. Okay, and so in order for something to be a right triangle, you should be able to a squared plus that b squared should equal c squared. So, and the way to think about that is, if we had, once we were all said and done, and a squared we could say was 2, and b squared was 2, and c squared was 4. Does 2 plus 2 equal 4? Yeah, well, you're going to get 4 equals 4. And so you could say, yes, that is a right triangle. But if you would have got like, if we erase this and put 2 plus 3, you put a 3 here, that's 5. Does 5 equal 4? No, then something does not qualify as a right triangle. Okay, and one thing you're really going to have to think about is, what else do you know about C? Okay, well, we know when we're given the right triangle, we have this triangle here, okay, and it's going to have a corner in the middle. On these ones, they don't, because they want you to see if it's a right triangle, but normally it would have a corner in the middle, and here we have side A, and we have side B, and we have side C. How do we know that that one is side C? Okay, well, one indicator, if the square was there, is that the C is always across from that right angle. But the other way to tell is C is always going to be the longest one. Okay, this is always the longest. And that's really important for what we're going to do today. And so when we look at this today, let me erase all this. Okay, so when we look at this today, so we have number 1 here, and so they want us to state if it's a right triangle or not. Okay, so you have to look at these and figure out, well, what goes to what. Well, C is the most important one. Okay, and so which one is going to be C? Well, C is always the longest side. So 9 is the longest side out of these, so you're going to have 9 squared goes in your C part. Okay, and excuse my handwriting, I'm writing with a finger on the iPad. So, and then the A and B doesn't really matter. So it doesn't matter if you say 6 squared plus 8 squared or 8 squared plus 6 squared, because you're going to get the same thing. So we got 6 squared plus 8 squared equals 9 squared. And so 6 squared is 36 plus 8 squared gives us 64. Good Lord. Sorry, I've been popping pills. I'm just kidding. But not really. 64. Okay, and then 9 squared is going to be 81. Okay, and you guys check my math because I am not really with it. Okay, I know 36. 8 squared, and then 9 squared is definitely 81. Okay, and so we need to figure out, well, what is 36 plus 64? And that's going to be 100 for the left side. Okay, and then on the right side we got 81. Does 100 equal 81? No. Okay, and so no, this is not a right triangle. Okay, and you do need to show me some work, okay, because otherwise it just looks like you filled in yes, no on the whole dang sheet. Okay, so write me some work, and I know I'm going kind of fast, so if you need to pause or have the sub pause, please do that. I'm trying to save space on this. So we got a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Okay, we need to figure out, and c is always going to be the longest side. And so this one looks like a right triangle, but there's no square there. And so we can't say for sure if it's a right triangle. And so we can say, well, our c squared we know is going to be 13 squared. Okay, well, why? Why is c squared going to be 13? Okay, it's got to be 13 because 13 is the longest side. So you got 8 squared plus 6 squared. Okay, so 8 squared is 64, plus 6 squared is 36, and 13 squared is something. 169. Okay, so we got 64 plus 36 is 100. It's 169. Does 100 equal 169? No, it doesn't. Okay, and so you're going to write no. And one thing I want to tell you, so it really looked like it was a right triangle, like I thought it was going to be, honestly. But one thing we did learn from our cheeses activity was that the sum of the squares on the sides, and I'm going to draw it in a different color, the sum of the squares on the sides, meaning like this, okay, we had these squares on the sides and we built with our Cheez-Its. Okay, this was our a squared, which would have been 64. A squared. This was our b squared, which would have been 36. And our c squared, which was 161, or 169. We learned that it didn't always work with the legs. So you could not say 8 plus 6 equals 13, because that was not accurate or true. But you could say 64 plus 36 equals 169. Okay, and that's what we learned from that Cheez-Its activity. And so when you're doing these, do not say, well, 8 squared, or 8 plus 6, oh, I got 13. Yeah, that works, because it didn't work. I think one of our sides was 4 and one of them was 5. But the other side was maybe 15 or something, and 4 and 5 does not give us 15. So you cannot do it that way, okay? Let's look at another one. Okay, let's look at 5. Okay, well, this one also looks like a right triangle. If you look at that, it kind of looks like there would be a right angle in here, but I don't know that that's necessarily true. Okay, and so we got to figure out the math. And so my c squared is going to be 13. So I got 5 squared plus 12 squared equals 13 squared. Okay, c is always going to be the longest side, and 13 is the biggest side on here. So 5 squared is 25. 12 squared is going to be 144. And 13 squared is going to be 169. Okay, well, what is 25 plus 144? Okay, it's 169 equals 169. And so does 169 equal 169? Well, yeah, it does. And so we can say that yes, this one is a right angle. Okay, you could say yes, this one is a right angle. And so technically, you could actually draw the square now and say, well, and it has to be here because it's supposed to be pointed across from the hypotenuse. And so now technically you could draw that square and say, yes, it's for sure a right triangle because we've checked it. Okay? Okay, look at 7. Okay, 7, same thing. What's going to be our c squared? Okay, well, our c squared's got to be 13 squared. Okay, 13 is our biggest side. We got 10, 12, and 13. So we're going to have 10 squared plus 12 squared equals 13 squared. Okay, well, 10 squared is 100, 12 squared is 144, and 13 squared is 169. Okay, well, what's 100 plus 144? It's going to be 244 equals 169. Is that a true statement? Does 244 equal 169? No. Okay, and you can kind of look at this one and kind of tell, but it's a little sketchy because I would say that maybe this could be a right angle right here, but it in fact doesn't actually work out. The math doesn't work out very good. Okay. Okay, and then this is the same thing without, let me restart and do another one.